Hi there, this is JKS Plays about to enter my 10th combined Monotype run for fun in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and by an overwhelming percentage in my last community poll, the Fire type overwhelmingly won the vote to be my 10th type to cover, and there are a lot of favorites that I can find in this run as I aim to conquer Pokemon Violet using only Fire types. Even though this is not a hardcore nuzlocke, I will try to make this as fun and challenging for me as the player, as well as interesting and enjoyable for you as the viewer. This is my first Monotype run for fun where I'm covering one of the 3 first partner types. And here are all the ground rules I've set in place that will be explained more fully down below in the description. And with that out of the way, let's get started. For the 5th time in a Monotype run for fun, I chose to enroll in the Uva Academy, this time as a female avatar with the same hair color and hairstyle of Hoenn Fire Gym Leader Flannery. And because, like I mentioned, this is one of the 3 starter types, I have the choice of choosing between a fire, grass, and water starter. The choice is blatantly obvious, as I decided to choose the Fire Croc Fuecoco, which gains the secondary ghost typing when it evolves at level 36 into Skeledirge, and I hit the jackpot immediately the first time I started this playthrough, finding out that Fuecoco has the Modest Nature, which powers up special attacks and decreases physical attacks, which made an easy first victory during this run against my battle-loving neighbor Nemona with 2 Ember attacks. But I decided to add to my Fire type family right away by catching the normal flying type Fletchling, which loses the normal typing the moment it evolves at level 17. And then it's onward to the largest city and the most gorgeous city in all of Paldea, Mesagoza. You already know the song and dance at this point. I flex on Team Star, get the Tera Orb from Nemona, and unlock all 3 major side quests of Victory Road, Path of Legends, and Starfall Street. I then add the box legendary Miraidon as my riding companion for the rest of the run, as I decided to add to my Fire type family even more by first catching a Charcadet in a luxury ball. I then headed back down to Inlet Grotto to find the part dark type Houndour, and then made it back to the Mesagoza East Gate to find a Growlithe with the Intimidate ability. I then headed up to Artisan Town, not to challenge the gym right away, but to get the Sunny Day TM. I then headed over the Mesagoza West Gate to catch a Capsakid, the new Gen 9 grass type, that evolves immediately with a Firestone to gain the fire typing into Scovillain. But that's not all. While traveling, Fuecoco evolved into its middle stage evolution Crocalor at level 16, and at level 17, Tabasco evolves into Fletchinder, putting me in prime position to challenge for my very first badge in this run in the olive-rolling city of Cortundo. As always, in most, if not all, my Scarlet and Violet playthroughs, I go up against Cortundo Bug Gym Leader Katie first in pursuit of badge number 1. I had my starter Chili the Crocalor set up the sun on turn 1, and even though Nimble hit a resistant Struggle Bug, the lower Chili's special attack, Nimble and Tarantula both got one-shot by Chili's Incinerate. Chili needed 2 Incinerate attacks to put down Katie's Ace Bug Tera Teddiursa, and in quick fashion, my Fire types and I secured our first badge in this run. And since the next badge I'm targeting is Stony Cliff Titan Cloth, a rock type that is one of the 3 weaknesses suffered by Fire types, I decided to head to the land of Kitakami early, unlocking the hidden treasure of Area 0 Part 1, the TLMS DLC, so I can get some valuable items, obtain noteworthy TMs, and along the way I encountered this shiny Sandshrew, which means I have to hunt for a shiny Fire type later on during this run, while also picking up the TM for Flamethrower. The main reason why I headed to Kitakami early was to hatch a Sinnoh starter egg, and on my first attempt, I got the Fire Sinnoh starter, Chimchar. The reason why hatching this Chimchar egg is so important in this run, it gains the secondary fighting typing at level 14 when it evolves to Monferno. I also love the fact that this Chimchar has a neutral nature, and that its notable personality trait is that it likes to fight. And I wasted no time in evolving Pepper into Monferno, giving me the perfect counter to take down everyone's favorite Raving Crab, who struck immediately on the first turn with a Rock Smash before I had Pepper unload with back-to-back Drain Punches, knocking out the giant crustacean into the second phase, where Cloth gains a larger health bar, and I team up with Arven and his Shellder, who was soaking up all the attacks that Cloth was dishing out, including that Rock Tomb, which gave me free reign for Pepper to build up its attack and defense by one stage by using Bulk Up. I was able to set up all the way to +3 in attack and defense for Pepper, considering Cloth continued to attack Arven's Shellder, who pitched in once in a while with Water Gun. And as the Anger Shell was activated by Pepper's first Mach Punch, Shellder eventually got sacrificed with another Rock Tomb, enabling for Pepper to score the KO with a second priority Mach Punch, which Monferno learns instantly when it evolves from Chimchar. As our first Titan goes down, we now have 2 badges in this Pokemon Violet Fire only run, but I wanted to add more to my Fire family collection by both catching and evolving. First by finding a female Litleo, and after finding a Firestone in East Province Area 3, I used it to evolve Chipotle from Growlithe into Arcanine, as I headed back over to Artisan to go after Grass Gym Leader Brashus, another type that the Fire types have an overwhelming advantage. I used Tabasco, the Fletchender, to one-shot Brashus' first 2 Pokemon with Acrobatics, a TM that I found while in Kitakami. I could have kept Fletchender in to sweep the gym, but I wanted to give Arcanine an opportunity against Fire Tera Sudowoodo, which has a base 100 attack stat and a base 110 defense. I lowered the attack stat of Sudowoodo with Intimidate before both Brashus and I terrestrialized our Pokemon. Arcanine was faster and hit a double stab terrestrialized Flame Wheel for massive damage, immediately taking Sudowoodo down to the red before it used Trailblaze. However, Sudowoodo did extra damage to itself, considering I had Arcanine hold the Rocky Helmet, before one more Flame Wheel from Arcanine put Sudowoodo down for the count, securing my Fire types and I's second Gym Badge victory, and the Obedience level cap rises up to 30. And I wasted no time in going after badge number 4, as I wanted to take down the second squad of Team Star and Dark Leader Giacomo. His first Pokemon Poniard was no match for Pepper the Monferno, as it got cut down in a single hit by one quad-effective Brick Break, which sets the stage for the ultimate test in all the Team Star battles in the base game against the Starmobile, a jacked up Reverum with insanely pumped up stats. I subbed out Pepper and brought in Chipotle to drop an Intimidate on the Starmobile after it intimidated Monferno to lower its attack stats. After its special defenses got lowered by 2 with Metal Sound and taking a strong Snarl, I had Arcanine lower the attack stat of the Starmobile by 2 more stages with Charm before bringing Monferno back in, who got its special defense lowered by 2, and it took a Swift attack on the switch. Then I had Monferno strike with Drain Punch to heal and a priority Mach Punch before 2 straight Swift attacks from the Starmobile brought Pepper down to 7 HP. So I needed to make a substitution after striking with 1 more Drain Punch to gain some valuable healing and brought Arcanine back in. The Intimidate once again lowered the attack stat of the Starmobile to a -4. Arcanine took both the Swift and the Snarl, and then Arcanine inexplicably missed its Play Rough attack. So I once again needed to swap out and bring Monferno in and attempt to close the deal. Pepper once again took both the Snarl and Swift, brought back down to 7 HP again, before I simply had Pepper trade attacks until the Starmobile finally went down with yet another Drain Punch. That sends the first of eventually 5 Team Starmobiles into the junkyard. All the Team Star boss battles have their own degree of difficulty. Getting the first one out of the way is always a plus. I headed to the East Province Area 3 Desert again to catch a Carkol, considering my next target is the Open Sky Titan Bombardier, a dark flying type that debuted in Generation 9 that has the Rocky Payload ability that makes all its rock moves stab. That's exactly why I went after the part Rock-type Carkol to counter the foul creature. After Bombardier struck with a critical hit pluck on turn 2, it triggered Carkol's Flame Body ability. And as you also notice, Bombardier already has damage done to it, considering I also had Carkol hold the Rocky Helmet. Another strike by Bombardier triggered the Rocky Helmet, which actually took all of Bombardier's health bar down to 0 before setting up the second phase, while I now teamed up with Arven and his own rock type, Knackley. Arven's Knackley struck first with a super effective rock throw. As for the first 2 turns, I had Carkol set up its defense by 2 with Iron Defense, and then its speed by 2 stages with Rock Polish. I fished for the 10% Omni Boost chance with Ancient Power but wasn't able to get it. But Carkol still managed to score the KO on the final turn, destroying the Open Sky Titan with 1 more serving of Smackdown. That's 2 Titans compromised. And with the Obedience level cap still at 30, I evolved Houndour into Houndoom, then went back to the East Province Area 3 Desert to catch a Torkoal with the Drought ability. And since I was still in the area, I made haste over to the Lurking Steel Titan Orthworm. After being wrapped up by the slug, Torkoal obliterates Orthworm with a sun-boosted lava plume, setting up the second phase of this Titan bout. After the sun was set up again due to drought, I immediately terrestrialized Torkoal, now nicknamed after Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Raphael, for more firepower the moment I clicked on Lava Plume, which not only struck Orthworm, it also hit Arven's Toadschool for super effective damage, considering Toadschool is a part grass type. Both surrounding Pokemon around Torkoal would have been one-shot if it weren't for Orthworm setting up a Sandstorm to get rid of the drought. A headbutt from Orthworm took out Toadschool before it got unceremoniously burned to a crisp by 1 more double-stab terrestrialized Lava Plume. And just like that, we now have 6 badges. Next on my agenda of badge collecting is a trip to Levencia Town, as I will enter the Iono Zone in pursuit of my 3rd gym badge, but before that comes across, there was a mass outbreak just outside the Team Star Dark Base hideout for Numel, as I tried to add a shiny fire type to my team. And in just over an hour of searching, after 60 Numel was cleared, a shiny version of Numel finally appeared on screen. Numel becomes my 2nd Pokemon that's a fire type from the Hoenn region. But what's even more impressive about Numel, knowing where I was going to next, it also has the ground typing, which is immune to electric type attacks. This Numel came with the Fire Tera and a very cool ability, which is Oblivious. The Oblivious ability keeps Numel from ever being infatuated, falling for taunts, or being affected by Intimidate. And it also came with the Adamant Nature, which increases physical attacks and decreases special attacks. But I wanted to add more to my Fire-type family by hatching 2 eggs, starting with this Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Indigo Disc DLC exclusive from the Johto region, Magby, which evolves into Magmar later on, that debuted in the Kanto region. But that's not all. I also hatched an egg for another one of my favorite fire types of all time. Even though I could catch it in the Teomask DLC, I wanted to hatch this hidden ability Vulpix. I actually hatched both these Magby and Vulpix eggs with their hidden abilities, and they both came with neutral natures. Magby's hidden ability is Vital Spirit, making Magby full of vitality, preventing it from ever falling asleep. And Vulpix becomes my second Pokemon with the Drought ability, considering that is Vulpix's hidden ability. And then, after trading 10 Synesty chips for a malicious armor, I finally evolved Charcadet into Cerulege before heading back over to Levincia Town to go up against the supercharged streamer Iono. I led off with Carkol against Iono's first Pokemon Wattrel, who struck first with Spark, but did damage to itself considering Carkol held the Rocky Helmet, and it also got burned because of Flame Body. After Wattrel was taken out by Carkol Smackdown, Iono brought in Bellibolt with the Water Special Attack Water Gun. So I brought in Habanero the Scovillain to take the neutral hit, then strike back with a critical hit Razor Leaf after setting up the sun with Sunny Day. The Razor Leaf also triggered Bellibolt's Electromorphosis ability to power up its Spark. I then brought in Shiny Numble to dodge the next Spark attack due to Ground-type immunity before Numble got stung by a quad-effective Water Gun. Numble retaliated with Bulldoze to lower Bellibolt's speed before I swapped out again and brought back in Habanero. After taking a Water Gun on the last turn of Sun, this next Razor Leaf from Scovillain took Bellibolt out, forcing Iono to bring in Luxio next, and that's why I kept Scovillain in to soak up the Intimidate before swapping in Arcanine to drop an Intimidate of its own to lower Luxio's attack stat by 1. Luxio then struck with Bite. I lowered the attack stat of Luxio by 2 more stages with Charm before being paralyzed by Luxio's Spark. Arcanine shook off the paralysis by eating a Cherry Berry before I swapped in Shiny Numble back in to dodge the Spark attack again. Luxio then switched up his attack to Bite. The first one flinched Numble, the second one didn't, before Numble healed up a bit by eating a Citrus Berry, delivering a Bulldoze to lower Luxio's speed, making Numble faster on the next turn for the second Bulldoze to put Luxio down. The last Pokemon left standing for Iono is Electric Tera Mismagius, a pure ghost type that gets rid of all its weaknesses the second it terrestrializes due to Mismagius having the Levitate ability. All 3 of Mismagius' moves have 10 power points each, including Confuse Ray, which Mismagius loves to use to power up its X. However, the first Lava Plume Numble used burned Mismagius, putting the Sinnoh Ghost on the clock and making the rest of this bout completely trivial. Why? Because the third move in Mismagius' moveset is the Electric Special Attack Charge Beam, a move that Mismagius will never use against a ground type. However, its Ghost Special Attack Hex cannot hit normal type Pokemon, and unfortunately for Iono, I have a Fire type that is also a part normal type in Lion Queen the Litleo. So for the remainder of this gym battle, I continuously switched in and out between Shiny Numble and Litleo until Mismagius worn down and completely burned out, making this for a methodical gym badge win, raising the obedience level cap to 35. I then quickly headed over to the Team Starfire base for a mirror match with the Shutter Squad, but during the Star Barrage, it begun to rain, making this the 3rd time this ever happened in any of my Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Monotype runs for fun, putting the Shutter Squad leader Mela at an extreme disadvantage, considering her own Torkoal cannot set up the sun with its drought ability due to the weather already raining. Torkoal was quickly disposed of by Volcano, my Shiny Numble, with 4 consecutive Bulldoze attacks. And now Mela was down to just the Shutter Starmobile, which only has the normal special attack Swift, the Fire physical attack Blazing Torque, and the Fire special attack Overheat. All of which that Fire brand the Cerulege is immune to due to the fact that Cerulege not only has the Flash Fire ability, which soaks up fire attacks and powers Cerulege's fire attacks, Cerulege is also a ghost type, making this Team Star fight completely academic, the moment Ceruledge scored the KO with a priority Shadow Sneak. Now, with 8 badges in tow, my fire types are on cruise control, but may hit a speed bump considering the next battle facing my fire types is the Water Gym at Cascarafa. I quickly evolved Bourbon the Vulpix into Ninetales with another Firestone. And Ninetales' Drought ability is going to come in clutch as I go up against the Cascarafa Water Gym leader Kofu, who brings out his lead Pokemon Veluza, whose real strategy is fishing for critical hits. I set up the Drought upon entry before striking with Ninetales' Energy Ball. The Aqua Cutter did not land a crit and was nerfed by the Sun, and then got disabled by Ninetales before finishing off Veluza with a second Energy Ball. I also gave Ninetales a Heat Rock to hold, which will extend Sun turns from 5 to 8, as I brought out Habanero to one-shot Wugtrio with Trailblaze, which also gave Habanero a speed boost, which got dropped by Wugtrio's Gooey after Wugtrio went down. I then swapped in Ceruledge to do combat against Kofu's ace, Fire Tera Crabominable, who Kofu wasted little time in terrestrializing the fighting and ice type from the Alola region. I called for Ceruledge to deliver the final blow with the powerful Solar Blade, normally a 2-turn attack, but now it's only going to be 1 turn because of the Sun still being up. But it just fell short, as it only took Crabominable's HP into the orange, enabling for Kofu to get 1 final attack in. This watered, stab, Terra-boosted Crab Hammer that Ceruledge somehow stayed alive with just 18 hit points left. If it weren't for the Sunny Day set up by Ninetales, Ceruledge was toast. So give the Kanto region Fox a gigantic assist, as this final Solar Blade from Ceruledge wiped out the remainder of Crabominable's health bar. My fire types remain red hot, avoiding a watery meltdown, securing my 4th gym badge, and the obedience level cap jumps up to 40. I'm now in the second half of my Pokemon Violet Fire only run, finding a female Salandit while heading back to Kitakami for a while. And with the obedience level cap now at 40, I was able to make some evolutions as I now have a fully evolved Infernape. Magby evolves into Magmar. Charcoal the Carcoal evolves into Colossal. Tabasco the Fletchinder evolved into Talonflame. My starter Pokemon Chili evolves from Crocolore at level 36 into Skeledirge, and upon evolving, it learns its signature fire special attack, Torch Song. Lion Queen evolves from Litleo to the female Pyroar. Venom the female Salandit evolves into Salazzle, and Volcano the Numel evolves into Shiny Camerupt. My lineup of fiery Pokemon is starting to become extremely stacked as I head over to Medali Town to face off against everyone's favorite everyday man, normal gym leader Larry, leading off with Ceruledge to once again do that all too familiar strategy of setting up my lead Pokemon's attack and defense by using Bulk Up against Larry's Pokemon, starting with the lead Pokemon Komala with the Comatose ability, who loves to put opposing Pokemon to sleep in 2 turns by using Yawn. And after being put to sleep the first time, I had Ceruledge wake up like eating a Chesterberry. And by the time Komala used Yawn a second time, Ceruledge was already at a +5 in its attack stat and +3 in defense, with 3 bulk ups and sharply boosting its attack 2 stages once by using Swords Dance before Ceruledge started sleeping again. Then after waking up a second time, Ceruledge then one-shot Komala with a +5 Brick Break. And the same fate was in store for Larry's second Pokemon, the Dunsparce. Ceruledge's attack stat got lowered down to a +4 thanks to the Intimidate ability from Larry's ace Pokemon Normal Terra Staraptor, who was able to get the first blow in after terrestrializing with a flying stab aerial ace, taking Ceruledge deep into the orange before a +4 brick break was still enough to finish Staraptor off, giving me my 5th gym badge in the run, increasing the obedience level cap to 45, as I then headed over to Tag Tree Thicket to immediately challenge the Team Star Poison leader Atticus. Even though I was able to execute perfectly an old strategy against Larry, I'm not able to do that here against Atticus, considering none of the fire types I have in my party have the secondary steel typing, which means Atticus's first Pokemon Skuntank is going to get some shots in with its dark priority attack Sucker Punch. In fact, the 3rd Sucker Punch flinched my lead Pokemon for this bout, Tabasco the Talonflame, forcing me to swap out in favor of Pepper the Infernape, causing the 4th Sucker Punch attack to fail. Then on the next 2 turns of this battle, Infernape quickly got rid of both Skuntank and the incoming Revavroom with back-to-back Earthquakes, the latter of which is 4 times effective against Revavroom, being both a Poison and Steel type. I then brought in Bourbon and Ninetales to deal with Atticus's 3rd Pokemon Muck, who scored a critical hit with its Sludge Wave, before going down to Ninetales' 2nd extrasensory attack. And now for the nasty part of this battle, dealing with the Navi Starmobile, who loves to poison opposing Pokemon by ramming into them with Noxious Torque, which is exactly why I gave every single Pokemon in my party a Pecha Berry to cure themselves from the poison. After Ninetales took off a quarter of the Starmobile's health with extrasensory, I swapped in Chipotle the Arcanine to lower that attack stat as many times as it can, not only with its Intimidate ability, but by turning on the Charm, which lowers opposing Pokemon stat by 2 stages every time. RNG luck was smiling upon Arcanine as the previous 2 Noxious Torques was not able to cause a poison status, and I was able to get the Starmobile's attack stat to a full -6 before swapping in Shiny Camerupt to try to pile on the damage with Bulldoze. Even at a -6 in attack, Atticus is still fully intent on poisoning my Pokemon, first missing a Smog on Camerupt before briefly poisoning Camerupt with Noxious Torque. Camerupt's next 2 Bulldoze attacks took the Starmobile down to the red before a final Noxious Torque poisoned Camerupt a 2nd time, but it's too little, too late, as one more Bulldoze sends this 3rd Team Starmobile in this run into the scrap heap where it belongs. A solid all-around effort by my Fire-type Pokemon in securing my 10th badge. And as for another Fire-type, I briefly put Magmar via Pokemon Home Organizing into Pokemon Legends Arceus. Fed Magmar a Magmarizer, that way it evolves into its Generation 4 evolution, Magmortar. And while leveling up my Pokemon to a reasonable level while near the Team Star Fairy Base at North Province Area 3, I encountered yet another shiny Pokemon that's not a fire type. And would you believe it? It's another shiny Chansey. Now I'm in pursuit of yet another gym badge as I head to Montenevera Town to face off, this time against the MIC of RIP, Ghost Gym Leader Rhyme in a double battle, as I brought out my Ghost Stoppers in Firebrand the Ceruledge and Chipotle the Arcanine, dropping an Intimidate on Rhyme's first 2 Pokemon, Mimikyu and Burnett, lowering both their attack stats by a stage. Arcanine also lowered Mimikyu's Disguise and Defense with Crunch, before on the 2nd turn Mimikyu hit Ceruledge with a super effective priority Shadow Sneak, before Ceruledge retaliated with a Shadow Claw, taking Mimikyu out. I also had Arcanine burn Burnett with Will-O-Wisp to lower its attack power, and then the crowd went wild, giving both Arcanine and Ceruledge a boost at both their attack stats. The strategy I had for this gym battle was straightforward. Keep Burnett on the field and nerf its attack power while focusing on taking out Rhyme's other Pokemon, as Ceruledge scored a 2nd KO in this bout with a +1 Shadow Claw, eradicating Rhyme's 3rd Pokemon, Houndstone, and at the end of the turn, both Arcanine and Ceruledge got another boost to both their attack stats as Rhyme brought out her final Pokemon, Toxtricity, terastallizing one of my favorite Pokemon from the Galar region into a Tera Ghost type. Banette once again tried to Sucker Punch Arcanine but failed, considering I had Arcanine use Charm to lower Banette's attack stat down by 2 more stages, putting the Hoenn region Ghost at a -3 before Toxtricity got wiped out by a now +2 Shadow Claw, scoring Ceruledge a 3rd knockout in this bout. For the final turn, I had Ceruledge use Quick Guard to protect Arcanine from yet another Sucker Punch, enabling for Arcanine to finally put Banette out of its misery with a +2 Crunch, a well-executed gym battle that is worthy of a Grammy Award. And now the obedience threshold level cap is at 50. The rampage of my fire types continues as I go for my 13th badge at the expense of the quaking Earth Titan Iron Treads. My fully evolved Chili can now go to work on the futuristic version of Darnfan with a powerful Torch Song to set up the second phase, where I decided to terastallize Skeleturge for more firepower on that Torch Song. Iron Treads attacked Arvin Scovillain on the first turn, causing a flinch with Ironhead, before this destructive Torch Song nearly provided a one-shot. No worries, just deliver another one, and down goes Iron Treads. This Skeleturge solo concert was garnering rave reviews, but now it's time for 2 more fire types to make their presence felt as I targeted Alfornada's Psychic Gym Leader Tulip next. I led off with Jalapeno the Houndoom against Tulip's first Pokemon Farigiraf, who proceeded to get beat up by this Dark-type attack, where the user gets all party Pokemon to attack the target. The more party Pokemon, the greater the number of attacks, which is why it struck Farigiraf 6 times. I then subbed out Houndoom and brought in Ceruledge to finish off the rest of this bout, as the Firebrand slays both Gardevoir and Espathra with back-to-back Shadow Claws. The ace Pokemon for Tulip, Psychic Tera Forges, had the unfortunate distinction of taking 2 Shadow Claws before it also went down, securing my 7th gym badge, and the obedience threshold level cap is now at 55, with the opportunity of being maxed out to 75 as per my Monotype Run for Fun rules, as I now targeted Ice Gym Leader Crusher atop the Glaciado Mountain. Following the exact same pattern that I used in my very first Monotype Run for Fun when I conquered Pokemon Scarlet using only Ghost types, I gave Ceruledge the Choice Scarf, terastallized into Tera Fire, and proceeded to scorch all 4 of Grusha's Pokemon in order: Frostmoth, Beartick, one of my favorite Pokemon from Generation 9, the bulky Satitan, and last but certainly not least, Grusha's ace Pokemon, Ice Tera Altaria. My precious Chili has now swept both the first and last gyms of this run, securing my 8th and final gym badge of Paldea, maxing out the obedience level cap at 100, but of course I'm going to freeze it at level 75 to avoid excessive overleveling. And after meeting up with Grusha and getting the TM for Ice Spinner, which none of my fire types can learn, I have officially qualified for the Pokemon League. 3 more badges left to get, and now it's time for more Team Star shenanigans, as I next square off against Rukba squad leader Ortega, a master of fairy types, a type that fire types resist. So I decided to lead off with Bourbon the Ninetales to set the sun up against Ortega's first Pokemon, Azumarill, which is always a threat with its ability Huge Power. Solar Beam, usually a 2-turn attack, is 1 turn now because of the sun, almost wiping Azumarill out on turn 1 before the buddy struck back with a Huge Power boosted Aqua Tail nerfed by the sun, but Ninetales finished off Azumarill on the next turn with a second Solar Beam. And then the rest of this bout was all about injecting venom with Salazzle, setting up a special attack to +2 with Nasty Plot. Then Salazzle proceeds to one-shot both Wigglytuff and Dachsbun on the next 2 turns. I then terastallized Salazzle into a Tera Poison type, making this double-stab terastallized Sludge Bomb extremely lethal taking down the Rugba Starmobile in one hit. An outstanding performance from Salazzle, worthy of MVP status. Salazzle will no doubt be used again as I aim to conquer my 5th and final Titan in this run, the False Dragon Titan Dondozo. I had Ninetales lead off again, setting up the sun, striking with a powerful one-turn solar beam, before being hit by a water pulse, which also confused Ninetales. But Bourbon managed to break through and hit another powerful solar beam to set up the second phase of this 3-phase bout. For Phase 2, I brought in Habanero the Scovillain, terastallizing the spicy Gen 9 Pokemon into a Tera Grass type. Then drop some double-stab Tera-boosted Seed Bombs on Dondozo's head. Dondozo's AI completely forgot about the fact that I was teaming up with Arven's Greedent, solely focusing on my Scovillain. Greedent softened the defense of Dondozo by 1 with Tail Whip before this 3rd Seed Bomb detonates, taking Dondozo out. And now for that pesky 3rd phase as we go up against the real Dragon Titan, the Gen 9 Dragon and Water type Sushi monster Tatsugiri. I subbed out Habanero and brought in Venom to take the Icy Wind from Tatsugiri. Then I terastallized Salazzle into a Tera Poison type to get rid of its weakness to water, considering Tatsugiri has Muddy Water that has the small chance of lowering opposing Pokemon's accuracy. I started out by poisoning the Tatsugiri with Toxic, a poison status move that doubles damage on every single turn. I then had Salazzle attack with Venom Shock before Tatsugiri took out Arven's Greedent with a powerful Dragon Pulse. Believe it or not, Salazzle, by level up, can also learn Dragon Pulse, which took Tatsugiri down to the red, but Tatsugiri's Dragon Pulse left Salazzle with only 1 HP, before this final retaliatory Dragon Pulse and response sinks Tatsugiri down into the abyss of Castle Royale Lake, leaving my fire types and I with only 1 badge left to claim. The final badge in this run goes through the bamboo forest of North Province Area 2, a treacherous area for a scary fight against a Team Star fighting base where Cap Squad leader Eri is in charge. This is without question the toughest of all 5 Team Star bases, especially when you're dealing with the Cap Starmobile. But before we even face the Starmobile, Magmortar holding the Choice Scarf one-shots Toxicroak with a quad-effective Psychic, the TM that I got after defeating Psychic Gym Leader Tulip. Magmortar used Psychic 2 more times to get rid of the second Pokemon Eri brought out, Passimian, after withstanding a powerful close combat in between the 2 Psychic attacks. I brought in Bourbon the Ninetales, who immediately sets up the sun with his route ability to square off against the next Pokemon Eri brought out, Annihilate. Even at -2, close combat still struck for a quarter of Ninetales' health, a testament to the Rage Monkey's attack power. However, Annihilate lowers its defenses each time it hits close combat, which is why I had Ninetales trade attacks on the next 2 turns, finishing off Annihilate with a second serving of Extra Sensory. I then brought Magmortar back in to torch Lucario out of existence with a sun-boosted Flamethrower. And now it's time for the ultimate battle of attrition against Eri's last line of defense, the Cap Starmobile. Hickory's too low on HP to stay in, so I brought Arcanine in to drop an Intimidate before being struck by the Starmobile with a -1 combat torque. And now Eri starts setting up. I had Arcanine lower the attack stat by 2 more stages with Charm before making the substitution and bringing in Tabasco the Talonflame. Then Eri used Shift Gear a second time before striking on the next turn with Combat Torque, which even got Talonflame fully paralyzed. I kept Talonflame in for 1 more turn to deliver some damage with Acrobatics after taking another Combat Torque, but the Acrobatics unfortunately powers up the physical defense by 1 stage of the Starmobile with Stamina. I lowered the attack stat of the Starmobile 1 more time with Arcanine's Intimidate ability before striking with Play Rough, as the speed of the Starmobile is maxed out after another usage of shift gear, and now its defense is at +2 due to the play rough, and now we are in for some serious trouble if we don't make precise substitutions, like I did here with Talonflame to dodge the ground attack high horsepower due to flying type immunity. I brought Ceruledge in to try to deal more damage as Eri tries to build up its attack power with another usage of shift gear before hitting Ceruledge with high horsepower. Ceruledge's Psycho Cut struck for super effective damage, but now the Starmobile's defense is at a +3. I saved Ceruledge from going down to high horsepower again by subbing Talonflame in briefly, then summoned in my only hope, Chili the Skeledirge, who can attack from the special side. Eri sets up with shift gear again before this Torch Song took the Starmobile down to the red. Then Eri completely throws by using shift gear one more time, which allowed for me to call for Skeledirge to deliver one final play of Torch Song for this bout. And down goes the Cap Starmobile. And with that exciting conclusion, my Fire-type Pokemon and I have officially claimed all 18 badges. And things are about to get a lot more heated as a mass outbreak at Asado Desert opened up for Larvesta, as I wanted to add a couple more fire types before engaging in the final 10 battles of this Pokemon Violet fire-only run. Larvesta is the only bug fire type in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I knew I wanted to add Larvesta for the final battles to come, but I thought it was even better to find myself a shiny Larvesta, which only took me an hour and a half of searching after clearing 60 Larvesta in the mass outbreak. And look at how gorgeous this shiny Pokemon is. After carefully battling this Larvesta with my false swiping Ceruledge, I managed to catch this shiny bug in my favorite Pokeball of choice, the Luxury Ball. Larvesta is another Pokemon currently in my Fire-type collection for this run with the Flame Body ability. So I went out to Kitakami and caught myself 2 more Pokemon with that ability in this wild Rock Tera Slugma. And within that same area, Crystal Pool, I also caught the part Ghost-type Litwick, quickly evolving my newest 3 Pokemon, Lava into Magcargo, and Sun into Shiny Volcarona. And after finding a Dusk Dome behind the Montanavera gym, I quickly evolved Charo into Chandelure. Now back in Paldea, I had to catch 1 more fire type for this run, or let this last fire type catch me. It's the fire type Evolution Flareon. And after using another Luxury Ball to catch Flareon, I leveled every single fire type in the box and in my party up to 65 for the final home stretch. Well, I don't know what it is about Rika, but for the 3rd straight Monotype run for fun, and 4th time overall, I decided to challenge the Elite Four first after claiming all 18 badges. But the other 3 times I went with the Elite Four first was simply because of Rika being a master of ground-type Pokemon. And I was justified in this case considering ground is super effective against fire. The other 3 times I went up against the Elite Four first after getting the 18th badge was when I ran my Violet Electric only run, my Violet Steel only run, and my most recent Scarlet Flying only run, even though Flying types are immune to ground type attacks, but Rika has Pokemon on her team with Flying type coverage to take down my Flyers. But in the case of Fire, all of her Pokemon are a threat. But in reality, I think Fire matches up well against the other Elite Four matchups, with a decisive advantage on Steel Master Poppy, and even though Fire types are resisted by Dragon types, I have a nasty plan in mind for Hassel. But before that happens, Let's deal with Rika and her ground types first. In order for me to beat Rika with my fire type team, I was going to rely on strategy. First off, by leading with Colossal holding the focus sash against Whiscash, whose earth power attack didn't even break the sash, allowing for Colossal to set up stealth rocks before I swapped out in favor of Habanero, the skull villain, who was holding the air balloon floating up in the air to dodge the earth power. And from there, it was game over for Rika's first Pokemon. I terrestrialized Scovillain into a pure grass type, and then a quad-effective Seed Bomb took Whiscash out. Rika then brought her own Camerupt out into battle second, hoping to bait out what now would be a super effective Fire Blast now that Habanero was terrestrialized into a grass type. I swapped out in favor of Flash Fire Ceruledge. But Rika went for Yawn instead, hoping to put Ceruledge to sleep. So I made another substitution, bringing out Ceruledge and bringing in another Pokemon holding an air balloon in Pepper the Infernape. But Rika inexplicably had Camerupt use Yawn on a second straight turn, so I simply let Infernape send an Earthquake Camerupt's way to put the camel down. And as Infernape fell asleep, I made another substitution and brought back in Habanero, the skull villain, to deal with Rika's last three Pokemon. And the reason why I had the Stealth Rock set up was for Donphan's Sturdy to be broken, ensuring that the next Seed Bomb was a guaranteed one-shot. The same can be said for Dugtrio, despite the fact that it set up a Sandstorm to activate its Sandveil ability, but Seed Bomb was 100% accurate. I had a Life Orb holding Ninetales with the Drought ability to set up the Sun in the back just in case if things went wrong against Ground Tera Clodsire, but I elected to stay in with Habanero anyway, and let Scovillain finish the job with a Seed Bomb for the victory, even after Clodsire tried to delay the inevitable when it protected on the first turn when it came in. A gentleman's sweep for Scovillain to secure our first Elite Four win. As far as the second member of the Elite Four, Steel Master Poppy, is concerned, I simplified things. Give Skeletor's the Choice Scarf, terrestrialize into Tera Fire, and play Torch Song on repeat. Well, it's on to the next one. I once again relied on strategy over brute force against Larry and his team of fearsome flyers in the third Elite Four matchup. His lead Pokemon, Trophius, actually had the speed advantage for a change, considering I led with Colossal to simply set up Stealth Rocks. Trophius, as predicted, set up Sunny Day, so that on the second turn, it was going to nail whoever I subbed in with Solar Beam. I brought Talonflame in to take the hit considering it quad resists grass-type attacks. Even though Solar Beam landed a crit, it really didn't do too much to Talonflame. I used Flame Charge over Flare Blitz because I needed a certain speed threshold the moment Talonflame finished Trophius off with a second Flame Charge and Larry summoned in Staraptor. Talonflame pivoted out with U-turn now that it was faster than Staraptor, and I swapped in Ceruledge to take the incoming Brave Bird. Staraptor dive bombed on Ceruledge, striking for over half of Ceruledge's HP before Ceruledge healed up a bit when it knocked out Staraptor with Bitter Blade. Putting Ceruledge in after Talonflame's U-turn was important because I didn't want Ceruledge's attack stat to be altered by Staraptor's Intimidate. Larry's third Pokemon, Altaria, on the other hand, was no match for Arcanine's Wide Lens boosted Play Rough. I swapped Charcoal the Colossal back in to deal with Larry's fourth Pokemon, Oricorio. After being struck by an Electric Revelation Dance, I called for Colossal to strike back with the multi-hit rock move, Rock Blast, which can hit anywhere from 2 to 5 times. I needed 3 hits for the knockout, and that's exactly what I got. And now Larry was down to his ace Pokemon, the hard-hitting Flying Tera Flamigo. And I'm not exasperating when I said hard-hitting, because whenever Larry calls upon for Flamigo to deliver a double-stab terrestrialized Brave Bird, it hits for massive damage. And that was not going to be a surprise when it does the same thing to Magmortar. But Hickory managed to hang tough on 28 HP before lighting up Flamigo with this magnet-boosted Thunderbolt for the KO and the victory. Flamigo did take Stealth Rock damage when it subbed in and also suffered recoil damage from Brave Bird, just like Staraptor previously in this bout. And now for the battle against the final member of the Elite Four, Dragon Master Hassel. Remember when I said at the start of the Pokemon League that I had a nasty plan in mind for Grandpa Hassel? Well, it does have a certain sparkling element to it. As far as how this matchup begun, Choice Scarf Ceruledge one-shots Noivern with a critical hit Dragon Claw. And now it's time for that sparkling element to take center stage in Sun, the shiny Volcarona. This Unova Bug powerhouse was the perfect Pokemon I had in mind the moment Hassel summoned in Dragalge second. Yes, it has the powerful water special attack Hydro Pump. That's why I terrestrialized Volcarona into a Tera Bug type to shut off the weakness and set up a light screen to lighten the damage done by Hydro Pump. And then it was time for Volcarona to start dancing. I elected for Volcarona to start using Quiver Dance to set up its special attack, special defense, and speed by one stage for as many times as I needed in order for my fire types to obtain victory, knowing that Dragalge only has special attacks in its moveset, one of which being the Stab Sludge Bomb. And if ever Volcarona got poisoned, I had Volcarona hold a Pecha Berry to cure itself from the poison. With its special stats and speed at +3, I had Volcarona go on the attack with Bug Buzz before being poisoned by another Sludge Bomb from Dragalge. From that point, Volcarona was on the clock. I simply let the bug send it, and it breezed through all 4 of Hassel's remaining Pokemon with either Bug Buzz or the awesome fire move Fiery Dance, which even gave Volcarona another special attack boost. With one final Bug Buzz to wipe out Dragon Tera Baxcalibur, my fiery Pokemon emphatically passed the Elite Test without breaking a sweat. In what has been one of my most well-executed runs through the Paldea Elite Four thus far, I take these 6 fiery Pokemon with me in my quest to become Paldea Region Champion. Firebrand the Ceruledge wearing a Choice Scarf. Tabasco the Talonflame with a sharp beak. Sun the shiny Volcarona holding Silver Powder. Chipotle the Arcanine with a black belt. My starter, Chili the Skeledirge holding a piece of charcoal, and Pepper the Infernape with a life orb. As you can see, rain begun to fall during this battle against top champion Geeta. Will that be enough to douse the flames of my fiery Pokemon? Well, not Ceruledge, as by holding the Choice Scarf, it was able to move first before dropping Geeta's first Pokemon Espathra with a Shadow Claw. Geeta then summoned in Avalugg second, so I countered with the Dirge, firing off a Torch Song, which under normal weather conditions would have been a one-shot, which allowed for Geeta to shake things up a bit. But her Avalugg got dropped on the second Torch Song at a +1, giving my team a 2-0 advantage. I subbed out Chili and then brought in one of my early game MVPs, Chipotle the Arcanine, to drop an Intimidate on Geeta's third Pokemon King Gambit, before it got roughed up by a quad-effective close combat. Wanting to maintain team harmony, I swapped Arcanine out and brought in my most dominant Pokemon throughout the Pokemon League, Sun, the shiny Volcarona, to square off against Geeta's fourth Pokemon, Veluza, a water type that could cause problems for my fire types. But unfortunately for Geeta, this ugly fish is also a psychic type, getting absolutely decimated by Volcarona's super effective Bug Buzz. And once Veluza went down, everything started to unravel for top champion Geeta as she brought out Go-Goat 5th. Go-Goat stood no chance of surviving a stylish Brave Bird attack from Tabasco the Talonflame. And now Geeta was down to her ace Pokemon, Rock Terra Glamora, as I brought out my Nemona stopper and chosen closer for this bout in Pepper the Infernape. Hey Flint, this one's for you. And by virtue of this Life Orb boosted close combat from Infernape, Nemona showers the field with toxic debris before it goes down in a heap, securing another convincing victory for my Fire-type Pokemon, and I am once again crowned Paldea Region Champion. 5 battles down and 5 battles left in my Pokemon Violet Fire-only run. After becoming Paldea Champion, I elected to finish the Starfall Street story first, going up against Director Clavel in front of Uva Academy. And this is where all of you are about to bear witness unrivaled majesty turning into outright brutality as I unleash the fury of the sun, my shiny Volcarona. Oranguru, the first Pokemon Clavel brings out, is a normal and psychic type that has a pedestrian move pole of Foul Play, Reflect, which Oranguru used on the first turn to cut in half damage done by physical attacks, Yawn, which Oranguru used on the second turn, and Dream Eater, which only works when the opposing Pokemon is already asleep. So on the third turn, Oranguru burned itself thanks to Volcarona's Flame Body ability when it hit Foul Play, and as Volcarona started to snooze, it immediately woke up from its slumber by eating a Chesto Berry. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is checkmate. After quiver dancing on the first 3 turns, Volcarona was now at a +3 in special attack, special defense, and speed. So I wasted little time in terrestrializing Volcarona into a Tera bug type, and then the annihilation begins. Oranguru, tap out. Houndoom, not tonight. Abomasnow, get out of here. Special attack now at a +4. Poltergeist, see you later. Special attack now at a +5. Amoonguss, thanks for coming. And Water Tera Quackable, it's bedtime for you. A clean sweep by Sun the Volcarona. And I never thought I'd ever beat Clavel so soundly. And as for Penny, oh, she's about to get an even worse beatdown, considering her lead Pokemon Umbreon has a pathetic attack stat of Dark Pulse, Psychic, Quick Attack, and Baby Doll Eyes, none of which can really do that much damage to Volcarona. And since 4 of Penny's evolutions are special attackers, it gave me the joyous freedom of setting up Volcarona's special stats and speed all the way up to a full +6, while gaining valuable HP with leftovers on all 6 turns. Umbreon and Vaporeon both get one shot by Bug Buzz. Flareon goes down to Psychic. Then the last 3 evolutions, Jolteon, Leafeon, and Penny's final Pokemon, Fairy Tera Sylveon, thought they could stand up to Volcarona's fiery dance, but all 3 go down in a flash, providing a decisive and exciting conclusion to the Starfall Street saga. After back-to-back exhilarating sweeps by shiny Volcarona of Clavel and Penny's teams, I brought a trusted team of 6 fire types along with me to the Mesagoza Battle Court for one final showdown with battle-loving neighbor Nemona, also a fellow Paldea Region Champion. I led off this Battle of Champions bout with the Choice Scarf holding Pepper the Infernape to instantly get rid of midday Lycanroc with close combat. Not allowing for Lycanroc to set up Stealth Rocks was huge as Nemona brought out Earthworm next, threatening Infernape's existence with Earthquake. So I brought out the part flying type Talonflame to melt down that slug with a ferocious Fire Blast. Nemona's most precious Pokemon came out third in the electric and fighting type Pawmont. So I had Talonflame pivot out of the battle with U-turn, doing chip damage on the way out. to swap in Shiny Camerupt to dodge the oncoming double shock due to ground type immunity to electric attacks. Camerupt then erased Palmont from this match with Earthquake after taking a stinging close combat. The Kalos region's pseudo-legendary dragon Goodra came out fourth, so I countered with Chipotle the Arcanine holding the Wildlands. A strong play rough took Goodra deep into the orange, and thankfully the Muddy Water in retaliation didn't drop Arcanine's accuracy, before the second round of rough play finished Goodra off. And now Nemona was down to her last two Pokemon. I brought out Bourbon the Ninetales with the Drought ability to set up the sun, which will now last 8 turns due to Ninetales holding the Heat Rock. After taking a strong drill run, a second Flamethrower eliminated 3 segmented Dunsparce, putting me in a very ideal position as Nemona brought out her ace Pokemon, the Grass Cat starter Meowscarada, as I decided to run it back to my very first battle of this run, bringing out my starter, Chili the Skeledirge. And since Meowscarada has Shadow Claw, I made the conscious decision to terrestrialize Skeledirge. And Shadow Claw now only strikes for neutral damage. Nemona was now forced to helplessly watch as her fancy feline gets burned at the stake, with one final playing of this sun-boosted double-stab terrestrialized torch song from the Dirge. This wonderful win streak of my fiery Pokemon continues to burn brightly, as I once again defeat Nemona, claiming the title of Ultimate Champion of Paldea and the strongest trainer in the Uva Academy, putting an end to the Victory Road story with 2 battles remaining. The final boss in this run just so happens to be the father of my penultimate opponent before that battle, Arven, as he wanted to battle me one last time in front of the Pokopath Lighthouse to get himself ready for the endgame. But I was born ready. Infernape quickly eradicated Arven's greeting with close combat, but Arven's second Pokemon Garganacl provided a small problem by first outliving the first Earth Power attack from Shiny Camerupt to lay down a set of Stealth Rocks before getting knocked out by the second Earth Power. So from here on out, every other Pokemon on my team will take damage the moment they enter into battle, except for one. We'll get to that in a moment, as I had Bourbon the Ninetales set up the sun, and while holding the Life Orb, this one-turn Solar Beam absolutely destroys Cloyster. And as Arven brought out his 4th Pokemon Toedscruel, I decided to counter with Talonflame, who immediately lost half of its HP due to the Stealth Rock damage because of Talonflame's Fire and Flying dual typing. Talonflame did even more damage to itself by recoil after obliterating Toedscruel with Brave Bird. Talonflame did get some HP back because of Talonflame holding the Shell Bell, before I subbed in the Dirge, who by the way did not suffer damage from Stealth Rocks because I had Skeledirge wear heavy-duty boots, before one-shotting Scovillain with a sun-boosted Torch Song. Before that playing of Torch Song, Scovillain did take a quarter off of Skeledirge's HP with a sun-boosted Fire Blast. For the final showdown in this bout, it became an absolute intimidating stare-down dogfight between my Arcanine and Arven's ace, Dark Terra Mabostiff. With both the fully evolved Doggo's attack stats at a -1, I decided to cut down the attack power of Mabostiff's incoming double stab Dark Terra boosted Crunch by burning Mabostiff with Will-O-Wisp, putting Arven's precious puppy on the clock. I then had Arcanine use Charm on the next 2 turns to lower Mabostiff's attack stat down to a -5, all the while taking burn damage in the process, while Arcanine continued to withstand Mabostiff's crunch attacks. A -1 play rough finally brought Mabostiff down to under half of his HP, and combined with the burn damage, the second play rough took Mabostiff down to the red. Luckily, none of the crunch attacks from Mabostiff either landed a crit or caused a defense drop. After using Charm one more time, Mabostiff's final crunch did indeed lower Arcanine's defense, but the last burn from Will-O-Wisp earned my fire types one more resounding victory to put an end to the Path of Legend storyline, setting the stage for the final fight. My last 7 of the 9 monotype runs for fun I've done in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet have ended deathless, and now I try to add the fire type. I'm on that impressive list that includes the types of fighting, fairy, dark, dragon, psychic, steel, and flying. As I get a helping hand from Arven, Nemona, and Penny as I ride atop the box legendary Miraidon down to the deepest depths of Area Zero for the final fight, the way home against Professor AI Turo and his destructive team of 6 future Paradox Pokemon. For this particular battle, I had to plan my strategy in defeating the 2 biggest threats to my fire types, being the part water type Iron Bundle and the part rock type Iron Thorns. Not to mention, Turo's ace, Iron Valiant, is the most strongest Pokemon on his team. But my fire types have proven throughout this entire run that they know how to keep the heat on. Can they deliver one final time as Turo leads off with his own fire type, the futuristic Volcarona Iron Moth? My first Pokemon of choice for this bout is Volcano, the shiny Camerupt. I made the Hoenn region stud, also a ground type, hold the Assault Vest to take this oncoming Air Slash from Iron Moth. The first one landed a flinch, preventing Camerupt from landing a counterattack. But after this second Air Slash, which didn't flinch, the Moth was a goner, courtesy of Camerupt's quad-effective Earthquake, which also landed a critical hit. To nobody's surprise, Turo is going to bring out Iron Bundle next, considering all 6 Pokemon I have currently on the team is weak to water. And considering Camerupt is 4 times weak to water, I knew I had to swap out, bringing in my only reliable counter in Pepper the Infernape, holding the new Generation 9 item Punching Glove. The futuristic Delibird was faster and struck for a massive water pulse, which thankfully didn't leave Infernape confused. Then Pepper drops Iron Bundle in one hit with a Punching Glove boosted Drain Punch, getting Infernape back to green health as Turo subbed in Iron Thorns. Infernape got back to full HP with a super effective Drain Punch, and Infernape needed all of those hit points after being taken down dangerously low again with an Earthquake. Infernape then retaliated with an Earthquake of its own, quad effective on the Rock Electric futuristic Tyranitar to take the Thorns out. And since Infernape is also a fighting type, Turo brought out the dark flying Paradox Pokemon Iron Jugulis out forth. I countered with Chipotle the Arcanine, striking with a powerful super effective Play Rough for over half of Jugulis' HP before the rest of it got taken away by Arcanine's Thunderfang. And then comes Iron Hands. I briefly kept Arcanine in, then swapped out in favor of Bourbon the Ninetales to take the obvious first turn fake out, before locking Iron Hands into that move with Encore, which means the hands are not going to be able to touch Bourbon the Ninetales for the next 3 turns, enabling for Ninetales to lower Iron Hands' attack by 2 stages with Charm, always using Encore. I then had Ninetales use Charm a 3rd and final time, and now the futuristic Hariyama's attack stat was completely lowered down to a full -6. I then had Ninetales go on the aggressive with the Psychic Special Attack Extrasensory, then locked Iron Hands into Encore a 3rd and final time, before making the substitution to bring in my starter, Chili the Skeledirge, holding a piece of charcoal to play one final torch song, and down went Iron Hands. And now it was time for the final showdown of this final fight against the final boss's final Pokemon, the fighting and fairy type Iron Valiant. I decided to bring Arcanine in once again to drop and intimidate on the futuristic Eladen Gardevoir, who gets its best stat heightened by holding a booster energy, activating his Quark Drive, and then it happened again. Iron Valiant's special attack got heightened instead of the phenomenal physical attack. And now I knew victory was in my grasp as Arcanine, holding the wide lens, was able to burn Iron Valiant with Will-O-Wisp, further neutering the Valiant's attack power. I then had Arcanine lower the physical attack of Iron Valiant even further by using Charm on the next 2 turns, putting the Valiant down to a -5. Arcanine did its job splendidly. Not wanting to risk a crit, I decided to make one final substitution and bring in Firebrand the Ceruledge for the final blow. And for the last time in this run, I charged up that Tera Orb and terrestrialized Ceruledge into a Tera Fire type. Toro's final desperate call was for Iron Valiant to use Psycho Cut, which at -5 does absolutely nothing. And by the final slashing of this double-stab terrestrialized blade from Ceruledge, Iron Valiant was slayed, and Toro was forced to taste bitter defeat. My fire types and I have done it. For the 8th consecutive time, I have completed a Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Monotype Deathless run for fun. And this one arguably may be my new favorite, as I was able to use fire types I rarely used before in a playthrough of a Pokemon game, which made this run really fun. To all of you who took the time out and wanted to view this from the beginning to the end, as well as being able to allow me to reach on YouTube 1,300 plus subscribers, I sincerely thank you from the bottom of my heart. If you love content like this, be sure to leave a like. And if you are a newcomer to this channel, please be sure to click that subscribe button, because every subscription tells me that I am doing something right, and will further inspire me to want to make even more gaming content. My favorite fire type is not even in this playthrough. It's Cinderace. But I've gained a newfound respect for a lot of fire types, like Arcanine, Camerupt, Volcarona, and even the starter of Generation 9 Skeledirge, as I love playing a bunch of tour songs. Ceruledge is also rapidly becoming one of my favorites of this generation. And also a special shout out to Infernape, Ninetales, and Talonflame. Let me know in the comment section below what your favorite fire type Pokemon is, and whether I should go finish the Monotype Run for Fun series, as there are 8 types left to be covered. See you on whatever the next one might be. Take care, God bless you all, and keep on shining.